documents and or things. Oh my goodness, we have had such a fun time in the 449th together, haven't we? At our reunions, we've had such a great time visiting and getting to know each other.
All the
Yes.
different cities.
It's
New
wonderful.
Orleans was beautiful.
Yes, yes, and it's been an honor as the second generation to be able to make it happen. 2008 was our first reunion, and at that time they said, okay, wives and second generation can be members now.
That was
And
so nice.
I have the letter that Ed Kolick presented at the meeting. It made the motion for us to be members. He handwrote. He gave us his handwritten.
Both so familiar.
Oh, they were all there with us, having a good time and sharing. So at that time, they asked us to start helping with the reunions. I mean, we helped with registration and on-site stuff. And they asked us to help.
I was even with them with that little town in Kansas.
Topeka?
Yeah. Oh, and then the other one. There's another town that.
You were
It's
someplace
first
down in
November.
Florida or down south, Georgia, Florida.
For a reunion? Chattanooga?
Oh, I've been to all of the union reunions.
Oh, okay, yeah, Chattanooga. So we missed Chattanooga, which everyone says is one of
How
their
about
favorites.
Those girls that used to sing with the general.
Oh, who used to? Well, the men used to always have their men's choir. Our veterans themselves had their choir, I was told.
Really?
At
Well,
they always would get together and
girls
sing.
Like like
Was
those
like the three
famous
girls.
singers.
Yes, we had.
Yeah.
We had some wonderful young ladies in San Antonio. But before that, I think 2 reunions before that, we had a team that came in and sang at the table at one of our squadron dinners, I think, and they were just a blast. We've been fortunate.
Dressed time appropriate.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
And they were, and I can't remember their names, but the 3 ladies kind of like, and they were wearing uniforms,
Yes.
right? And they were doing all this, they were really fun. It gets kind of pricey. And we've always tried to keep the cost down because so many of our first generation wants to bring the second generation.
Don was a navigator on the flight,
He
so
was.
many of the
Yeah.
flights. He was the navigator.
Oh yes, our father was the navigator too.
And Richard's father was the pilot for Dad's plane.
Oh, that's why we
That's-
know you so well.
That's the
He got
tie-in.
his foot bound
His
from
foot got
underneath
shot.
the plane.
Flak or something like that on one of
Oh.
the missions.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because he flew on patches.
Yep.
So Easter Crew is the crew where Don Lapham was. I think he was I can't remember what his position
He
was.
wrote me all of the letters. He wrote all the time. He promised he would, and he did.
Oh, so.
Even when they landed in Africa and they put up their tents.
Oh, really? And
did.
Africa was a short-term stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you write back to him? Did you write him often as well?
Yeah.
Did he keep those? Did he keep your letters?
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh. What a great combination to have had the two together,
Yeah.
responding
I
to
don't
each
know.
other.
No.
Yeah, who knows? It may be in that huge stack of stuff that you'll go through later.
I had all that stuff that they didn't throw it away now.
No, they haven't thrown anything away. It's still
Nope.
your house, baby. It's
Yep.
still your house, and don't you worry about that. So, tell me what stories you heard about, either of you, the crew. Who else was on the crew? Do you remember?
Dad never said anything about whatever World War II was. I mean, nothing.
Oh no!
He-
There's a story that none of those men talk about that.
Nope.
Yeah, most of them waited till
Never
after
talked.
they were 80 years old.
Right.
How old was your father when he passed?
Dad was what, 80?
When he
Oh,
passed?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay, mid
About
80s.
85.
Yeah. So most
I
of them.
every letter I ever had.
Well,
They're
and
all in the house.
so he didn't tell, but he.
His story, he told to my sister Patty, that he jumped out of the airplane with the knife in his hand and killed Hitler. That was his war story.
What was he?
That he jumped out of the airplane and killed Hitler.
Oh.
But nothing.
That is not uncommon.
Nope.
That is not uncommon
They
in the
did
least
that.
bit.
They did their job, came home, and
Well, you know, in 2008, when we went to our first reunion, and Debbie and Teresa and I met with Mary. She lived 15 minutes away from Deborah, where Deborah and I lived, a little farther from Teresa. I said, well, are you doing oral histories? Because I was into genealogy, and, you know, you save all that story stuff. She goes, no, we haven't ever done them. And I go, well, I think we should do that. Now, they were average 85, 88 when we went to the reunion, and they were willing to tell their story, but they were uncomfortable with it because they had not been doing that. And so
The planes, when they crashed in Africa, the Arabs were stealing everything.
well, they didn't have anything,
go
and
to
it was a
the
war,
wreck.
so
They go to the wreck, you know, and
yeah.
they were taking everything.
Well, you know, it's probably how they survived.
yep.
So we did 50 oral histories that weekend, literally 50. I remember hearing, because we had a little sign-up sheet, and I remember hearing in the hallway there was 3 veterans out talking, and one said, have you done your oral history? And he says, no, I haven't. Have you? He goes, yeah, I did. I was a little nervous about it, but it was pretty okay. And so it was interesting to me that they were sharing about, but they were at an age where they were willing to share, and we didn't ask deep, you know, we just
Right.
asked general questions and tell us where you lived and, you know, how you got there and a little bit about you, and then just tell us a story. And we got 50 different stories, 100 different kinds, you know, I mean, just different
Yeah.
stories. I'm so glad we did that. We now have 82, which is pretty doggone good considering we waited so long. But like even the Trogdon sisters did their dads at home separately because he was too busy to do it. They had never heard any stories from him either.
Yep.
And, yeah, so they were late 80s by the time they were
Because the general
willing.
was a navigator also.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's really intriguing. And so his letters that you have tell his story because
Yes.
and that tells the story as much as an oral
He
history.
promised he'd write every day, and he did.
I bet you have a stack, huh?
I had that, yeah.
I have to remember to get you to sign this. So he was over there. Oh, I don't have how many missions or what
50.
when he was there. He did do full 50.
He did the full 50.
Okay. Do you by chance have his discharge discharge paper has so
You
much
know what?
information on it if you've
He
run
got
in.
the Air Medal, but he also got 3 other citations. They disappeared. Somebody stole them.
Well, you know, his discharge paper will say exactly what he achieved and received because
Yes.
they have an awards section,
Yeah.
and it also shows when he left the U.S., when he served overseas, when he left the U.S., and when he was in country, and when he left in country, and then when he was back in the U.S., which is really great time-wise, you know, to have that shot in time documented dates. Those are really good to have. Well, you know, I find it interesting because the 449th was in Battaglia for 1.5 years. Not very long, right? There were 5,000 men that served there. And I don't know if it's true, but I heard for every 1 man that sailed, that flew, there were 10 on the ground that
Yep.
supported. And so, and there's 10 on a plane. And
Yep.
there's so many planes, like, you know,
Yep.
70 planes
Takes
at one
that
time or
much.
something.
Support.
And that's why there are 5,000 on our roster. Unfortunately, those that kept connected were the ones that had the closeness of the peril of flying, and so we have few of the ground crew.
Go for it.
That was his name. Okay, I remember seeing that name, and I'm gonna go look up and specifically
Go
see
for
the
it.
story. Yeah.
And he had his wife with him with a little child, a baby.
Oh, really? Were there that very many babies with the wives? I
They
bet you
were
there
the
was a
only
lot of
ones,
pregnant
really.
wives.
Yeah.
By the time
They
before they flew out. Very, very intriguing. Very
Yeah.
intriguing. So, you know,
There were,
that ground crew had to spend the whole 1.5 years there.
the day they all left, there were 2 girls that drove from Kansas to California. Were you one of them?
No.
Yeah.
I'm too young. I wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
But so they were with their husbands in training, but they lived in
Right.
California.
When they all left and they drove
Well, that was a big trip back then.
for
From-
them, yeah.
Yeah, for anybody really, especially in the car. It wasn't, you
And
know.
when we went home, my mother-in-law and I, we sat on the railroad, empty railroad, nobody around waiting for the train.
I can see the
We
picture.
waited so many hours, and my father-in-law met us at the
Station.
the station in Chicago. When we got
Wow.
home.
How nice memory. You have wonderful memories. You have great memories, and that looks
I
like they
have.
mean a lot to you. Waco.
Pardon?
It looks like they mean a lot to you, too. Well, I have shared a ton of memories of times with you.